Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis. Know that we've been loyal way back from the beginning. A trusted source for the news. 79th at Halas, what it is, what it do. Since Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis. Know that we've been loyal even when we wasn't winning. A trusted source for the news. 79th at Halas in your ears, you. Since Bobby Ingram, Curtis Ennis. Know that we've been loyal.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. 79th and Halas, episode 260. It is your guys, Scott and Flows. Of course, you know to follow us on all social media platforms. And at Barberchair Scott and that Flows and Delaney. And of course, follow the Barberchair Network at that Barberchair Net. Follow 79th and Halas on Twitter. We're on Twitter and Blue Sky at 79th and Halas. Of course, subscribe to the Patreon, man. That is patreon.com. / Barbers Chair Network, man, as you can see right up here on the screen. If you take your phone up to the QR code, man, the QR code will take you right to the link. The link will be show you all 4 different tiers. You subscribe to the $10 holla, which is the all access tier. You'll get 25% off on your first order at the bcnetshop.com. Man, we are here back from Soldier Field. We on a little late, recording, I guess. We stay a little late to do some post-game stuff, man. So we are here to break down this loss and also do a little preview of the Thursday game, if there is that much of a preview to do, because we'll be heading to Detroit on Wednesday, so there won't be a pod. Yeah, man. So, Foles, how you feeling? Fresh off another down to the wire, this time overtime loss to the Minnesota Vikings. Bears now 0-2 against the NFC North this year, and this is 5 losses in a row for this team.
I'm kind of over it, at this point in the season, nothing's going to come of it. There's not going to be a playoff race or a playoff run. The team is lacking on the lineman side of the ball, whether it is offense or defense. The coaches are not living up to a good standard right now. And so when you take all of that into account, you can see that this team isn't good. And so since we understand that, why in the world would I get upset or would I let it affect me? So as of right now, I'm perfectly fine. I think the positive side to this game is that Caleb Williams is continuing to develop as a quarterback. He looks like the guy that you expected him to be. Everything is advertised. He's finding open players. He's trusting his arm. His footwork looks really, really good. That's been probably the best thing. His footwork is just getting so much more crisper. He's stepping up in the pocket. A few times, now there were some few plays where Caleb was sitting back and wanted to just stay there too long, but he's just trusting himself to move up, if not take the run. And so won't get into him too much because it's not time yet. But when you take all that into account, I think it's enough for you to feel good. We tried to do that last year with Justin Fields or the year before that. And you were like, he looks better. But here you can truly think, wow, this kid really looks good. He looks like a very good quarterback. Not even a rookie. He just looks good. So ironically, I actually say I'm feeling good. I think I'm feeling good more than anything. So that's good. And as Orla said, Caleb is showing that he's flu-proof.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's hard for rookie quarterbacks to develop when the coach is bad. I also think this is the fact that Shane Waldron's gone. Thomas Brown is taking over, and so it's easier for him to develop. So,
yeah, and by the way, Orlando, you threw me off. He said Giants fired their coach. I went to go check Twitter. You meant the Jets. I was like, they fired their bro. Like they tanking on purpose now. So yeah, so the Jets fired their GM and coach. But yeah, I think the thing about the Flukes thing, if there's any chance for him to get fired during the season, which I still don't think he'll get him fired, but if you want any hope that he gets fired, I think a blowout loss on national television to make it 6 L's in a row to another division rival, who got their stuff together quicker than the Bears did with a mini bye after that. I think there's any time you want to see Matt Eberflus get fired, it'd be then. And they could have lost by 50 today. That was never going to happen because it's such a short turnaround. even if you want to make Thomas Brown interim coach, you're not going to give him that short of a time as interim coach with just a turnaround that quickly to Detroit. So if there is any chance for him getting fired midseason, which, like I said, I don't see happening, it will be a loss to Detroit with the 10-day mini bye coming up, man. But for me, man, I was like a weird bunch of emotions. There was a point in that game probably right after the DeAndre Carter fumble where I was irate. I was just tired. And I said that this morning as I was getting ready to go to the game. I was like, I thought this time this year, you told me 3 months ago that you'd be sitting here as the Bears getting ready to lose their 5th in a row. I'm like, you're crazy. Like, I don't think any of us had this happening this season. And that was something I was just irritated because, as fun as this is, when a team sucks, it becomes more of a job than it does actually, just being fun and watching your favorite team play football. And so, but that anger kind of went away when I saw it become a competitive game again, just the way I saw that, Caleb was balling. I mean, he's finally, and the thing I was thinking the whole time, I was thinking, what would Caleb look like? What would his numbers look like right now if they just hired Thomas Brown as offensive coordinator to begin with? Like any guy who Sean McVay, who everybody is trying to copy right now, decides to make his assistant head coach in his second year. I mean, if Sean McVay can do that, he's not worth to be offensive coordinator. And it just makes me think more and more, what do they see in St. Waldron? It makes me more worried about the actual head coach, process that's going to begin soon. Like, how do we know this team can pick the right guy when it was sitting right there? I thought the play calls looked good last week, but it was only, 19 points. But this game really, really, really impressed me from Thomas Brown. 27 points against the top 10 defense. And Caleb was phenomenal. 32 of 47. Big time throws, accurate. He had tight window throws. When it was like 3 or 4. And no, that's like only the elite of the elite make those tight window throws that look like they should be intercepted or would have been intercepted if it was even thrown a second later than it originally was. And so that was fun to see. And you just see his growth. You see his confidence. And even in a loss, I'm watching the game. And as it goes to overtime, we're in overtime. I'm kind of feeling bad because I'm like, man, a win would be cool. You know what I'm saying? A win would be cool. But at the same time, I don't think we need Flukes to be any more leash than he needs. You know what I'm saying? And so, not to say I was rooting for the loss, because like I said, I'm not going to hold you. I'm not rooting for losses. And I really feel for morale that this locker room needs a W bad. But I just didn't want to give Ryan Poles any more, to give Flukes. You know what I'm saying? So I actually feel good because Caleb hooped. And I really feel that this team is a coach away from being really, really good, even with all the holes that this team has. Have you noticed the offensive line doesn't look that bad when the scheme is better? Have you paid attention to that? Caleb got sacked twice today, and one of them was his fault, the last one, which he said.
Right.
And I think that was a stat that Courtney Cronin tweeted out about not the blitzing, but like how the offensive line has been since Thomas Brown. Here we go. He said, in the 2 games since the switching offensive coordinators, Caleb Williams has posted his 2 lowest pressure percentages of the season and his lowest average pass times of the season. As a result, his passing efficiency has gone up from weeks 1 through 9 to weeks 11 to 12. Williams' completion percentage jumped from 60% to 71%. Yards per attempt has gone up from 6.3 to 7.1, and an average passing time of 2.90 to 2.42. That shows you that when the scheme is different, it shows you. And like Alex says here, how he was really bad against the blitz against Houston in week 2, and he's gotten so much better. And today it was great. Quarterbacks have had a QBR against the Vikings of 74.3. It was the average this year. His is over 100. And we said coming into this game that this was going to be his biggest test. He passed with flying colors, and so did Thomas Brown. And so my hopes offensively for the rest of the season are very high. We can talk about Detroit. Detroit's a great team offensively. There's plays to be made on that defense. I think the big worry for me on Thursday is you can't have these scoring droughts because Detroit's gonna make you pay because they're just too potent offensively. But there will be opportunities to go out there and put some points up on Detroit too. But Thomas Brown, I can't say any more about him than what we heard what Caleb Williams said. What did you think about the big word, the nice words that Caleb had for Thomas Brown today?
It's interesting because one of his, I think the words that stood out the most is that he said it makes him play free. And that's what you want to hear from your quarterback, is that the offensive coordinator is allowing you to play free. And then it seems like Thomas Brown trusts him to be that guy. He's in a headset saying, go be Superman. Some people, I think a few people on Twitter are like, I don't know if I want to hear that, but that's confidence. That's you saying, I trust my quarterback. Do what you do best. Take the game over. And on 3 occasions when the Bears were down, Caleb did that. Unfortunately, with defensive issues, they've all been losses. So it's unfortunate that that's the way it's gone, but at least it shows that Thomas Brown trusts him. They understand things well. They're communicating well, though a few plays could have come in a little bit sooner. And I think the only thing on my mind is I'm trying not to get caught up in the trap of, this person is calling good plays, therefore they're going to be a good coordinator, therefore we need to make him the permanent coordinator. He still has to show and prove. That being said, 2 games, he looks great. Caleb looks great. And it's not like teams don't have film. You got film. But I think it just goes to show you have a good game plan. Don't matter how much film you have, you're going to find a way. And that's what they did.
And then also, too, the adjustments. Like you said, this film, but also at the same time, he knows how to make good adjustments. You know what I'm saying? And I think, like, I'm not trying to put too much dip on the Thomas Brown chip, but I believe with his play calling, you win the Indianapolis game. I believe his play calling, you win the Houston game. With his play calling, you 100% win in Washington. Because there were just so many stupid plays. And it kind of goes back to my fear about Ryan Post. Because, I know
exactly what this quote says.
It's the small things to go along with. Exactly. It's how Ben Johnson, right, exactly. And that's one thing you got to give Ben Johnson, something that Sean McVay couldn't even do. You know what I'm saying? But McVay also reignited Baker Mayfield, like you said. You know what I'm saying? He said, and that's a good one, Joseph. He said, it's not going to lie, it looks good. It's not like Mitch and Bill Lazor. Exactly. It's not like.
Or a lot of that felt kind of fluky at times.
Yeah.
Like when Mitch had the 6 touchdown game, I'm like, you were forcing him to get that 6 touchdowns. You were trying really hard.
Well, he was saying, remember that was before Matt Nagy gave the play call. Remember Matt Nagy gave the play call enough for 2 games to Bill Lazor?
Right.
That's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it looked a little better, but it wasn't that much. Like, I see major improvements just from this week compared to last week.
Right.
And say what you want about Brian Flores. I don't think he'll be a head coach again because you're sued the NFL, and there's only certain things that the NFL is going to let you get away with, especially when you're black. But
it's all than a Negro doing that, brother.
Yeah, exactly. But his blitzes will confuse the best of quarterbacks. And it just didn't confuse Caleb. And looked good. And what I love with Thomas Brown, he takes what the defense gives him. He wasn't throwing it down the field, just throw it down the field. He would do it when it was times to do it. And that's what I love about it. And that's also, too, if you do let Flus go midseason, that's an interim coach, at least for the next couple of games. You know what I'm saying? I think the thing that you said this when we
honestly, if you get rid of Flus, you need to get rid of Eric Washington.
Yeah, 100%.
Take them all.
And I think too, you said the same thing. Like Thomas Brown is playing for his career too, because he had head coaching interviews last year. If him and Caleb can continue to put points up this next month and a half, that's going to look good for him. No matter if it's the Bears that actually give him a legitimate shot or somebody else. There's going to be a lot of coach openings this year. Adam Schefter said there's going to be no less than 7 head coach openings this year, and he think it can go up to 10. So there's going to be a lot of coaching vacancies that if he goes out there and somebody says, I love what he did with Caleb Williams. Caleb was looking lost for a couple games. To go out there and do this, he's going to be able to get a job somewhere. And if you're the Bears, if this keeps going the way it's going, and that's a big if, still got 6 games, like you said, not gonna put too much dip on our chip. At the bare minimum, he deserves the interview Because as much the Bears mess up, you don't be looking up, and I'm not comparing him to him, obviously, but just making a comparison here. In 5 years, you don't want to look up like, man, we had the next Mike Tomlin in our building. You know what I'm saying? And we let him walk. So, it has to be something where it's played well. But to the Thomas Brown thing, it takes back to Waldron. What makes me really, really nervous about this head coaching search, because Matt Eberflus is gone. Whether it's here, whether it's this Thursday he's gone, or in another 6 weeks, he's out of there. And he knows he's out of there. My only thing I'm worried about right now is Caleb, and hoping that Ryan Poles, if he's still going to be here, because we don't know what Kevin Warren is going to do. Kevin Warren is a wild card in this entire offseason. We don't know what is on that man's mind. Ryan Poles was not his guy. Let's be very clear about that. He was hired after Ryan Poles, a year after Ryan Poles. So that's something that you got to look at. And that's what concerns me. Am I alone in that, thinking that the way that they hired Shane Waldron should be cause for concern when it comes to actually evaluating who should be the next head coach?
Yeah. The fact that you went over so many qualified candidates and you came to him and he turned out to be the worst amongst them, that's a problem. That's absolutely a problem.
Is Trace Armstrong Thomas Brown? No, he's not, but you know who is Trace Armstrong's client? Mr. Lincoln Riley. Warner GP says if they end up getting an actual CEO type head coach like Vrabel, if Brown continues to press against defenses down the stretch, as middle neck, it might keep him as OC. There's a couple things with that. One, I highly doubt that this ownership is going to hire an outspoken coach like Mike Vrabel. I would love to have Mike Vrabel with the right offensive coordinator, but also too, even if you hire Mike Vrabel, most coaches want to bring their own staff. So I don't see them saying, okay, Vrabel will bring you, but you got to keep this guy. That's usually not how this works in the NFL majority of the time. But that's why I'm saying that I don't see that happening. Do you? I don't see them hiring a guy like Vrabel.
I just don't think that meshes with the McCaskies and who the people that they tend to hire. They tend to hire these quiet, put company your head down, get it done, company guys. So, but that being said, push come to shove, when you got to put together a good team, who knows? Again, most of my comments are when it comes to this team, if they've truly turned a corner, they'll do this. As of right now, it doesn't seem like it. But if they have, then they might start looking into options outside of people who are just strictly company men.
And that has all to do with my man Kevin Warren. TED Talk Kevo. What is his presence going to be like this offseason? Did you see the video of George McCaskey at a Bears tailgate talking to the fans? And the fans told him, co-fans told him, fire Flus. And he looked at him and said, I know.
I'm sure he's just saying that to get them to shut up.
Yeah, but also I feel like Joe McCaskey is a naturally nice guy. Like, he's out there trying to get a pulse of the fans because this fan base booed him last week. But I want to talk about the defense, man. This is something that I've been saying, feel like I've been talking to a brick wall since the end of last season, where the defense ended so strong, and probably the reason why Flus kept his job was they are bum slayers. I've been saying it forever, and it's not against the players. The players only run the scheme that has been given to them. The scheme that Matt Eberflus has is just like the scheme he had in Indianapolis. It's okay, but it's not great. Like they play too much soft coverage. You saw all the overtime. The defense they're playing the overtime. Like, does Flus think that a touchdown needs to win this game? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. So when you bring back Flus and say that we're bringing them back because of how the defense grew up, when the defense isn't doing well, there's literally no reason whatsoever to keep him out of there, keep him there. And I really feel like they're starting to, if they haven't already, toned them out. And the more losses that come, the more defeated the defense looks. And I say the defense because I feel the offense has new life. And even though they're losing games, if you compare locker rooms, or not locker room, but compare rooms, I think that there's way more enthusiasm on the offensive rooms than there are in the defense. The defense is like, look, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know what to do. We got an idiot running this. And it's just like we're stuck. And I feel like each week they get more and more. I mean, the way Montez Sweat's like, I've been in this league for a minute, and I've never seen the losses that we had. And the way they keep losing, like even today, like how they got to overtime, them losing was just kind of like, oh, another tough one. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I worry too. Because the 6 week, like, that's the thing. There's 6 more games left, bro. Right. There's a lot of football left. How does the defense keep going? That's why I say you got to get rid of Flus. I see no positive to keeping Flus around for 6 more weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. He said, you know, we need, what does Eric Washington do? He helps Flus put the scheme together. He doesn't call plays. We need another, let me see, I'm going up here some of the things. You need another DE on the side. Yeah, we've said that since all season. Everybody said that's all season.
It's more than you need a DE. You need interior rushers.
Yes.
Javon Dexter, who had like, I think 2-3 sacks.
2-3 sacks. He hasn't, how many sacks he had since? One
maybe. He's an interesting player because he's big and strong, but as of right now, his technique is just not good enough. He gets off the ball, he stands straight up, makes it easy for offensive linemen to push him back and prevent him from getting depth. Once you lost Andrew Billings, it just kind of completely collapsed. So more than anything, you need to get somebody to replace Javon Dexter. He's fine as a depth piece. I don't think he's a starter. You need to put somebody in next to Andrew Billings who can really compress that line. And then you can start looking into defensive ends opposite of Montez Sweat who can really do some work.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Bobby Thompson, speaking of defense, y'all think Flus benching Stevenson has basically made him regress significantly? Stevenson has always had a bozo gene, but at least I don't know if it's made him regress significantly because they're picking on that nigga before the Washington game. Like defenses will pick. He's always been the weak spot on the secondary. But I also think when you had a Jaquan Briscoe out there, it made it harder. Well, I've said the last couple games, we're really feeling Jaquan's absence. You know, Jaquan tweeted it today. Miss me yet? I had to check, make sure it wasn't a fake account. Oh, there's no way he tweeted that. You know, he said, miss me yet? Right. Jaquan Briscoe changes a lot of things. And then Warner GP flows 100% correct. Expect the Pickens and Dexter more to lead DTs when Arrow and Flus. Yeah, and that's another thing too. That's what makes me angry about all this. Poles was so arrogant on Hard Knock. Like Hard Knock, we're here to win now. This roster is gonna be so tough to make it. Like, I want to know what were you looking at? Like, we as fans and media, we can think one thing, but you're the general manager. Right. You know what I'm saying? The general manager, if you're going to talk that way, the only thing I give him is passing on Matthew Judon looked like it was a good trade. Looked like it was a good thing to do because he's not doing nothing in Atlanta. But it just thinks about Ryan Poles that each week it looks more glaring and more of an issue going forward. That this is the issue right now. You know, you need, I think, out of the starting 5 on the offensive line, you need to refill 4 of them slots. Like, in my opinion, I'm not saying they're gonna get all 4. I think he loves Braxton Jones, but I think you got to get at least 4 new spots on there. You got to get that.
In my opinion, you just need to get that interior. Braxton Jones is fine if he has greatness next to him. And if we're talking truly emergency, the guards are your biggest pieces. You need to get new guards. Darnell Wright is going to be a fine tackle. You need to get those guards first, then get the center. And if you have a luxury and you have some stud, go get a tackle. But Braxton and Darnell are fine for what we're talking about. They'll be fine. And that's why I said even the guards. I could deal with Coleman Shelton for another year if you can get some outstanding guards. So you get them, then you go to the center, and then you'll be cooking with grease. Because as anything, they are the most pressing issue on the defensive line. Not the tackles, not Braxton, even though, you know, PFF Braxton Jones, they love him. I think he's just okay. But because he's just okay, you don't need to go out and just waste your picks, waste money on getting somebody because he's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that interior. Same with the defense. Defense and offensive line, the biggest issue they face is interior.
I agree. I 100% agree on that, man. Let's kind of pivot to let's just talk about Caleb's individual performance. Like you said, number one thing, footwork. Footwork. That is getting better, and that is key. Why did Josh Allen suck his first year? His footwork was god-awful. Then he got with Brian Daboll. They got it fixed. Voila, you got the quarterback we got right now. Caleb Williams' footwork was getting worse. And we started picking up what we call them red flags that we saw. But it feels like once Thomas Brown made the game easier for this dude. Once Caleb realized, hey, I might not be as fast as Justin Fields or Jaden Daniels, but I'm still fast enough. Let me use my legs. The offense opened up, taking the check downs. He's running when there's nobody open. And it just makes him more and more confident. And then the footwork change. And you notice the deep balls today was there. That's why I wasn't really too much worried about it. The only issue that I guess like I've had with like, and not even on Caleb, was the game plan. We gotta stop force feeding it to Keenan all the time. Like, I wanted to see a little more roam in there, but obviously, like, I don't really have any complaints about Caleb today. Like, well, he wasn't flawless, obviously, but he's a rookie too. He's playing very well, and like for the first time in my life, when I'm putting down problems for the Bears, quarterback is not one of them. And so if you're, and I'm gonna keep going back to Ryan Poles. If you're Ryan Poles, you're watching that game. Anybody with a brain is saying, I've got to get this idiot coach out of here because I've got something. And I just love what I saw. And what we've seen repeatedly this year, when crunch time is there, Caleb got the clutch gene, it's there.
Right.
We've seen it in like 4 games at this point. It's not a fluke.
And when's the last quarterback that the Bears had that you saw that? Because Justin didn't have it.
Mitch didn't have it.
No.
Me and Jay had it, but then Jay will also give it away.
Right.
But, you know, the thing about Caleb, which I didn't think was going to translate to the NFL, he doesn't turn the ball over. He only has 5 picks. He does not turn the ball over. And we got to give Caleb also some love. He is already the Bears' all-time rookie passing leader. And like I thought it was like 3,000 something. No, it was 2,000 something. He passed that, and he is tied for the most passing touchdowns by a rookie in their rookie season. One more touchdown, and he would be the supreme leader. He's gonna get that. I think he's probably gonna finish with about 16 or 17 touchdowns, considering the I don't even what you want to call Shane Waldron. Well, Shane Waldron should be on the raft that they sent Zemo to on Civil War. Like that's where he needs to go. That would be a solid 6. I think he's going to easily get 3,000 yards passing now. I don't even think, if he continues to stay healthy, I think he's 100% going to get that. What do you think about Caleb's individual performance?
I thought he was spectacular. He trusted his feet, trusted his arm. He was going through his reads, his progressions. He stepped up in the pocket. He delivered plays when you needed him to. His arm looked great. His mechanics were good. He was impressive. I think this was probably his best game as a pro, considering the defense he went against, considering what he did. And this is coming off of last week where a lot of people thought that was his best game as a pro. So he is just repeatedly showing how good he is, and I think it was outstanding.
Yeah, against these defenses is a good thing, and that's what makes me positive for the rest of the year. And one thing I love too, man, is, Joe, you said this last week when we were shooting our post-game video. You said, yeah, the Packers won, but there's got to be somebody. The Packers got to know that, that they got to hear the footsteps. You know what I'm saying? They got to hear the footsteps coming from what's going on in this division, what Caleb Williams is doing. And we have some quotes here from the Vikings. This is from our guy, Zach Pearson. Shout out to Zach. Zach spoke to linebacker Jonathan Greener and also safety Harrison Smith. Jonathan Greener said, man, talking about Caleb Williams, said, man, his arm talent is crazy. We knew that going into this, but just actually seeing it in person, his arm talent is up there. We knew that if we made him uncomfortable, he tried to make some plays at the very end. He fell into a sack on one of mine where I got a sack when he was holding the ball. Bright future ahead of him. Really good player, bright future ahead. And Harrison Smith said, yeah, man, he's as advertised. The creativity, arm talent, escapability, he's a good player. And then that's also the Vikings head coach, Kevin O'Connell, had a long chat with Caleb Williams before, at the end of the game. And Caleb said he told him, I'm not looking forward to playing you multiple times out the year going forward. Just keep going. So when that's a long way from, I remember last year after week 1, and was one of the safeties on the Packers said, yeah, we wanted Justin Fields to throw the football. That's a long way from that comment. So when you hear that, these opposing teams in the North just hoping that the Bears don't get the coaching right. Because they know with that, that's going to unlock something else. What do you think about, I guess like the division rivals giving those comments about Caleb?
I mean, we've heard over the years like, oh man, Justin's a special player. Mitch has done a lot of things right, but to see them praise him and say, no, this kid's special, that's a difference. Because there's coach speak where they're going to just generally be nice. Yeah. And then there's, no, this kid's good. And that's what we're seeing from him. And that just goes to show the player that Caleb is. And it's probably a shame on me at any point last year for thinking, no, keep Justin. Hell no. I can deal with the losses, terrible season, knowing Caleb is becoming the guy he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And if he can develop despite having a bad head coach, that just shows how good he is. And when I think about his year that he's having, I think he's been the second best quarterback in terms of skill, play on the field.
Amongst the rookies?
Amongst the rookies.
Don't let Washington fans say that.
Bo Nix is far and ahead. He's 16 touchdowns, 6 picks. He looks good. Off-angle really passes. Good. He's just in. I called it. I said last year, I got tweets to back it up. He developed over a long period of time. 5 years in college, 3 at Auburn, 2 at Oregon. He steadily got better. Till his last year at Oregon, he's just lights out of nowhere. But that's because he developed. Caleb is now showing how good he is, and I think he's been the second best QB.
I actually agree with that. Washington fans aren't gonna like that, but I agree with that 100%. Let's pivot to the Detroit game since we won't be doing a pod on Wednesday. The Lions right now are 10-1. Like, they have done what you want any team who lost the NFC Championship game to do. You want them to come back the next year with a vengeance. They are 10-1. They just beat the Indianapolis Colts today 24-6. This offense is very, very potent. Jared Goff, didn't have the best game today, but the run game was incredible. Once again, 3 touchdowns between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. This will be the Bears. I think this is the third. It's their third Thanksgiving game like the last decade, I think. Like 2018, they had one. They won that one. That was the pickoff by Eddie Jackson, pick 6 Eddie Jackson from Matthew Stafford where they did the Temptations. You're gonna forget the 2021 game where we were kind of in the same predicament. Like, if they get blown out by the Lions or lose the Lions game, Matt Nagy's gonna get fired. And then they won, and Matt Nagy was real arrogant in the press conference. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Justin didn't play. Andy Dalton played that game because Justin got hurt. Andy Dalton played that game, and Nagy was real arrogant in the press conference. So this will be their third game. All right, that's what I'm saying about this game. I think everybody is expecting a blowout, and a blowout would not surprise me whatsoever. Just because, as good as this offense has been the last 2 weeks, the offense sometimes the drives do stall a lot, and unless your defense is playing really, really good, which they have not been, the Lions going to take advantage of that every time. And I believe those offensive drives, those slow quarters that the Bears have had all season, can come back to bite you, and you come up and look and be down 17-0, 21-0, 21-7 before you can blink. So that's my concern. But this is why I think it's going to be a somewhat of a close game. It's a division game. Historically, even in the Eberflus era, they play very well against the Detroit Lions. And, for Bears fans, you're like, oh, well, we just – not that you hope they blow out, but a blowout really, really help your chances of Matt Eberflus getting fired mid-season. That's just too easy. Things will ever come easy for the Bears. I think it's going to be a closer game. I do not think the Bears are going to win. But if they did find a way to win, I'm not going to lie. It wouldn't 100% shock me just because it is a division game. But I think the soft coverage is going to be too much. Also, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to destroy the Bears linebackers on Thursday. I'm sorry. The way this locker room is feeling and coming off such a short break, man. Right now, my score, I'm going to say Lions win. I think the Lions put up 30. I'm going to say Lions 30, Bears 21. 9-point win. I think it'll be competitive for majority of the game, and then the Lions break away in the fourth quarter. But also, like I said, it wouldn't shock me if we look up and it's 48-10 either. But I'm going to say 31-20 will be my final score. What you think about this game coming up?
35-17 Lions.
Any reason?
They're a better team. The Bears defense stinks. If you're going to allow chunk plays, they're going to take advantage of it.
So you don't think there'll be any plays offensively for them to make sense? The defense hasn't been as good. They're missing Aiden Hutchinson, so you ain't got to worry about that. Aiden Hutchinson has been hell for Bears quarterbacks.
Yeah, but they're not where they are offensively, or I think they can keep up. This is why I said 35. They might be like 2017, and then they'll start pulling away.
Okay, so you don't think they get any garbage time points?
No.
This one scares me right here. The run defense has been terrible. And you're going up against one of the best rushing teams in football. And even though he's been gone for a couple years, I'm pretty sure David Montgomery will love to run it up on the Bears, man. But I think that's all we got. Is there anything else we need to go over today? I think that's all we got, man. Like I said, we said 45-19. It's gonna be a bloodbath. Look, like I said, it wouldn't shock me if that's a score. It's just things never come that easy for the Bears because you want that to happen so Matt Eberflus can get canned. I just don't see it. I think it'd be somewhat competitive. Either way, we'll be in Detroit for the game. I love going to Detroit. I love Ford Field. Ford Field is one of my favorite fields in the NFL. I haven't been since the Lions have been good because when last time I was there was, I think it was the second to last game of the season in the 2022 year. So it was like New Year's Day 2023. So they were still, that was when they knocked the Packers out of making the playoffs, but they weren't good yet. So it'd be good to see the atmosphere, man. But you can follow me at that Barb Chair Scott. Oh yeah, Shabuzi halftime show. Now you hear that terrible song at halftime. I hate that song. I know everybody looking at me crazy. I hate that song. But you can follow me at Bar Chair Scott. You can follow Flows at Flows and Lenny. We will holler at y'all probably over the, I'm gonna be real. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's holiday weekend this week. Unless Matt Eberflus get fired, we're gonna holler at y'all the week of the Niners. I'm not even gonna sit up here and lie. So if Matt Eberflus get fired, we have an emergency pod. But if it don't, whatever. But I'll be recapping. We'll have a recap video after the game on Thursday, regardless, man. So y'all enjoy y'all holiday, and we're gonna holler at y'all. When we gonna holler at y'all, man. We about here.
Since Bobby Yagam, Curtis Ennis, know that we've been loyal way back from the beginning. A trusted source for the news. 79th at Halas, what it is, what it do. Since Bobby Yagam, Curtis Ennis, know that we've been loyal even when we wasn't winning. A trusted source for the news. 79th at Halas in your ears, you. Since Bobby Yagam, Curtis Ennis.